asalaamaaleykum askan bi seetaan Star TV wala di ñu déglu ci li nga xam ne moom mooy Star FM 96.6 ñu dalalaat leen jaama si beneen Traffic Talk fii ci li nga xam ne moom mooy Star TV Gambia. Last week suñ ko bàyyee xel jotoon nañoo xool li nga xamante ne moom mooy di maiden edition mooy jël benn yoon bi xool rek li nga xamante ne moom mooy yoon bi kaaraange yoon bi xool suñ ne trafic lan lañ si jublu. lan mooy jafe-jafe yi nga xamante ne ñu ngi ko see am naka lañ ko mën a saafaraay ba also xool li nga xamante ne moom mooy mandarga yi anglais di ko wax li nga xam ne moom mooy signs and symbols suñ joxee mandarga sangam lan la ci miin ci biir kër gi tey comme li nga xam ne ni ñu ko dee defee am nañ fi ki nga xam ne moom mooy njiit bu li nga xamante ne moom mooy National Road Authority Mr Sanyang moom si suñ biir am nañ ki nga xamante ne moom mooy Dr Gassama tamit ci suñ biir comme niñ ko waxee moom su ñëwee ci wàllu road safety expert la si am nañ ki nga xamante ne moom mooy Mr Badji Frontstar CEO su ñëwee ci li nga xamante ne moom mooy driving school bi si wàllu jàngale li nga xam ne moom mooy dem ak ñëw bi am nañ si a big role like we did last week we started with the maiden edition. This is the second episode of the Traffic Talk with me Kausu Badji. In the studios we have key stakeholders represented, ably represented here by the individuals that they select. We will start with the introduction, starting with Mr Sanyang, the Managing Director of National Road Authority, to briefly look at key issues pertaining to when it comes to transport, but generally when it comes to road matters. Before we will come to Dr. Gassama to look at the key aspect. You, Doctor, is not new. We've been with him last week. Mr. Sanyang, you're welcome to Road Safety Traffic Talk on Star TV.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It's been a while since I think May of last year when we launched the Road Safety Awareness Campaign. Since then, there has been a lot going on in different media platforms, including TVs and radio stations. That went on until around, I think, the end of the year last year. By the way, I'm Mr. Sanyang. I'm the Managing Director of the National Road Authority. So those campaigns in terms of road safety went on for quite some time. But when it ended, probably around January, February, we seem to have disappeared a bit. We didn't disappear completely off the screen or on media, but we disappeared in terms of the engagement and informing people. But in the background, there was a lot of work being done. It didn't end up just with the road safety awareness campaigns on TV, but we did the last part of it, which was reaching out to the community. And Mr. Gassama was part of that. We went to schools, we went to marketplaces, we met drivers in their garage pockets, out in the garages. We met the community leaders. So it was, and the schools, of course, which is quite important as well. So the campaign is still ongoing, and I'm happy that Star TV has initiated this again in terms of reviving it on the screen again once more. And hopefully with time and on your subsequent projects, programs, we'll get these images on the screen again to see the community outreach that we've done. Road construction is going on at the moment a lot in the country, as you can see, and it's not confined to just one area. Absolutely. In the urban area here, you see a lot of work going on, but you bet if you go to the provinces, we're building more roads there as well. So, and this is ongoing. It will not stop. Road building is continuing. We need to connect the whole country. And in fact, the accessibility limits in terms of criteria for some of the funding agencies is that we want to get most of the community within 2 kilometers of a paved road. Sure. That's the accessibility index. That's what we're trying to achieve. We're not yet there, but compared to some of our sub-regions and in fact major economic powers around in the sub-region, when you compare them to small Gambia with the small economy, if you compare the amount of roads we are building per population, which is the density of roads per population, we are really, really hitting far, far, far above our weight. We are better than most countries which are economically more powerful than us. You may want to know that as we sit at the moment, the amount of projects we have ongoing, total, in terms of road construction, is in the tune of almost $20 billion over the next 4 years. Okay. That's a lot of money. Absolutely. A lot of investment. Absolutely. And I dare say also almost half or even 3/4 of that is all funded locally.
That's good.
Gambia government funding, and
Yes.
most people don't know this.
Yeah,
But
I
is it-
think it's good for such platforms for people to see it. Then we will also know
Yes.
that, okay, this is where taxpayers' money is going.
Is it?
But also this is the target. That,
Yeah.
okay, I don't need to be worried. Probably in the next 5 years, if I live 2 kilometers away, I don't need to drive like off the road for 7 kilometers or 5 kilometers. Within a range of 2 kilometers, I'll be accessing.
And that's
radio.
hugely to the all the merits, I think, should go to the government, existing government, where the investment is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. That's what the president keeps saying.
Just another question before we come to Dr. Gassama. Would in any way the accessibility to roads add to the economic value of the country? We know, more specifically within the Greater Banjul, a good number of people will tell you they're just building roads. But in any way, would this add in the long run to the economic value or through the value chain of the economy within the next 5-10 years?
You know, the thing is, roads,
Yes.
they unlock development potential.
Okay.
The fact that they unlock development potential, the benefits are far-reaching.
Mashallah.
It's not only economic, it's social. People tend to forget that.
Yeah.
What it tends to do, there are some benefits. You see, when you quantify the economic benefits of infrastructure, sometimes people tend to look at the financial benefits. Those are the economic and monetary value of the benefits. But there are some benefits that are not quantifiable. And those are far-reaching. The value of time alone that you have,
Yeah.
in terms of reduced travel time that you have, the time that you spend with your family, can you quantify that?
Yeah, the last time I said it, I said now from Yarambamba to Star TV new building, it's about 20-25 minutes, and then you used to take about 1 hour 30 minutes.
Yes. But I'll stop that. I'll stop there for now.
Yes, Dr. Gassama, road class. When you talk about roads, it comes with risk. When it comes about transport, the movement from one point to another, it comes with risk. In brief, before we will come to the local language, can you give us an overview of road class? What exactly a road class is? What are most of the causes? Many times we know we will talk about, like we did last time, human errors are part of it. Some of them are avoidable, some are non-avoidable. But generally, in summary, what is an overview, or can you make an overview of road crashes, what they are, and what do you think if you do XYZ we can avoid it, not to talk about its fatality as well?
Thank you very much. I think we have to thank Star TV for this very important initiative, and of course, by extension, our able ministry. I love the Minister of Transport, National Road Authority, for the great work they're doing. I think because people don't understand, or maybe perhaps they oversight how complex this problem is. So maybe because of that, people start pointing fingers, at one institution or an individual or a sector. So this is, in a nutshell, it's a very complex phenomenon. It's very, very complex, and we need to have all the stakeholders on board.
Yes.
Now, looking at that, what do we mean? That's why in our previous program, you said we don't have to call it an accident anymore. The thing is, yes, majority of it is human error. So why do you call it an accident? You see, when we put certain things in place and we go by them, certainly the number of crashes that we have on the road will be reduced. Now, take for example, say if you look at the developing, compare like developed countries and developing countries. If you look at developing countries, you start wondering how many cars, how many motorized vehicle, powered vehicle do they have? If you look at the developing countries, low-income countries, they only have nearly less than 1%. Low-income countries. But high-income countries, the vehicles are there, more. And then, of course, upper middle-income countries. They have all the vehicles. And if you look at, let's say, low-income countries, less than 1% of the global, powered vehicle. Yet, what do they contribute? They contribute to nearly 13% of the road traffic deaths. Can you imagine this? You only have a population your vehicle population is less, and you have more deaths on your road. Then there is something wrong. So then, going back to that, you need to look at the risk factors. What are the risk factors? That's your very intelligent question. Now, why are we having crashes on the road? Why are people dying on the road or after? It's a complex phenomenon, exactly. Now, what do we do to mitigate, to reduce severity? Because people will still make mistakes. How do we reduce that severity of injuries or deaths on the road. Now, first, let's look at the human part of it, the human behavior. What do we do on the road? And this applies to all the road users. If you look at I like the police statistics, what they call it accident statistics. The sort of risk factors or causes, they call it. What are the causes or risk factors, whichever you want to use. And then quite a number of them are boiled down to human behavior or road user behavior. Of course, one of them is speed is a risk factor. In fact, if you look at globally, 1/3 of all road traffic deaths or injuries or crashes, 1/3 of it is due to speed. So speed is a factor in all road traffic crashes. It's a factor because when you reduce the speed, because why do you call it a crash? There has to be one of the road users or vehicles in motion. If they are static, there's no accident. If you don't have any chariot moving, if you don't have any vehicle moving, there'll be no. So there has to be that movement now dictates what is going to be the outcome of your crash when there is a crash, when there is a mistake. So speeding.
There any linkages between the speed and the magnitude of the crash?
Certainly, speed is a killer. You know why? We can discuss speed alone in this many episodes of this program. Now, when you increase speed, for example, if you have what speed scientists say, if you increase the speed limit by 1 kilometer, let's say this road maybe you are not allowed to, or the maximum speed is 70 kilometers per hour or 50 kilometers per hour. Now, what speed science is, when you increase by 1, the chances are that you are going to have nearly 3 to 5%. Your risk of being involved in an accident or a crash, and maybe even 4% death.
Wow.
So you can imagine, just by 1%, 1 kilometer added, yes, your risk is so as you are moving, is any kilometer you add above speed limit, you are at risk. And the other thing is, even the seat belt that we talked about last time.
Yes.
If you are driving very fast, and the most modern cars, the threshold is 70 kilometers per hour.
Yes.
If you go beyond that, then the speed belt will be useless when there is a crash. So which means the speed is, you cannot even control the devices, that the safety devices in the vehicle, their performance reduces as a result of speed. Now, the moment you speed, then when there is a crash, their performance reduces. So therefore, speed is a factor.
It's on motor vehicles.
Exactly.
How about motorbikes, where the person is in an open environment?
I'm telling you. And then you see now, looking at that person, that road user, there are two risk factors there.
Okay.
2 in 1. That person is driving at a high speed, and that person is not wearing a helmet.
Yes.
Because not wearing a helmet is a risk factor for
airbag
exactly.
to protect the person.
Exactly. So not wearing a helmet. Look at you person, 2 risks at the same time. Because not wearing a helmet is also a risk factor for injury, severity.
Yes.
So it's very common. It's common sense. When you are driving, especially driving very fast, that alone is a risk factor. Now, what about without wearing a helmet? That even make it worse. So when there is a crash, the head injury, most of the time, in fact, nearly 10 to 15% or more of those traffic crashes, deaths are due to these people not wearing helmets. So helmets is very important, and then those helmets also should be properly fixed, should be worn, and they should also be exactly, and they should be of quality. So it's not only putting something on your head and then say it's a helmet. And usually this is where the enforcement will come when we look at these risk factors. So
we will endeavor to get the police hopefully by the next program so that they can respond to some of those questions. Mr. Baji, CEO of Frontstar Driving School. This is key. I know we will turn to the local language by the next line of questions, but summary, there are so many driving schools. Frontstar is not the only driving school. We did in the partnership with Frontstar Driving School simply because we have seen times without number you've executed to test the students that you have graduated. But is there need for all driving schools, or a good number of driving schools, because this is about curriculum, it's about training. And you don't want to see people with certificates and license from schools to driving school to come back and do worse than people that had gone through. Is there any target or intention to develop a standardized curriculum which will be coordinated by the accreditation body, NACA, to ensure that, okay, probably certified even by the police force, to ensure we will get standards to say if a person can do X, Y, Z, this person can drive or is entitled to category this of the license, because licensing also comes in category. Is there any target, and how, if yes, what efforts is Front Star willing to take up in that?
Thank you very much, Kausubaji, for that question. Thank you very much for having me too. First, I will greet Mr. Sanyang for sharing a platform with him, as they are part of our controlling body. The Dr. Gassama as well, having him again. It's a big honor for me, and I definitely enjoy whenever he's expressing himself and then his knowledge as well. Kausu, first, I would say I'm so happy to share this platform with Mr. Sanya. Why? Because now our work is easier. Some time back when we started, you hardly see some of the signs we are training the students. But now across board, everywhere, from here up to Basse, signs are installed everywhere. So thank you very much, sir, for that. We definitely applaud you for that. Because when you talk of the driving school, when we came newly, this was the first problem we have. The reason why we just, in fact, opened the driving school is because driving school are within the substandard at the moment. Then we did our feasibility studies before starting the operation. Okay. And then when we started the testing, I remember the testing was done, first testing was done in 2020. People think that we are mad. When the driving school start testing, then we used to have like 20 to 30 students. For us, it's not normal for a driving school to train students and then you certify the student by the driving school themselves and then launching them themselves. That is not normal. It's so abnormal. Hence, there is, the police are here. We have this partnership with them. They have been testing the students.
Oh, the police does the testing?
Yeah, the police does
the school?
Mr. Bai is a testing officer.
Okay.
On the ground. I think you were there last time. And then what we do, we also invite the media too. And the last batch was the 44th batch of testing for the past 5 years, Council. And then we realized that there is no other driving school that is doing the testing, Council. It's so sad.
Yes.
So, how do we test the students? On a testing day, I'm just speaking out of experience. We do not have any say with the students that day.
Okay.
We do not control the students. We don't dictate the students, and then we don't even rectify them that very day. We do the work before the D-Day.
Okay.
And now the testing day, the testing officers will do their work. The testing officers, they are independent. Mr. Baji is a national testing officer.
Okay.
He will do the testing. First, we start with the vision testing to know whether you are qualified to drive or not, or whether you should use your lens, a lens to drive, or whether you should stop driving at night.
Okay. Yeah, because we've seen this in developed countries. There are people that are restricted to drive at certain times.
Definitely, that's what we do. So after the vision testing, we do the highway, the highway testing. After the highway testing, then we do the reverse and the parallel testing. The reverse and the parallel testing, this testing that even the UN are using to test their members. Okay. The same way the standard we are using to test the soldiers and the officers who are preparing to go for the UN mission is the same standard. And then from there, we will also test you on the theory science, that is the highway science. Okay. And that is where NRA comes. I'm so happy to share this platform with him.
Mashallah.
Honestly, Council.
We will come back to the National Road Authority. No single institution is an island. Which local language probably are you more fluent with? I think we take it up in the local language. Comme liñ doon waxtaanee suñ bëggee toppa waxtaan bi si anglais bi dinañ gën a xaabaabal wante rek xool li nga xamante ne moom mooy National Road Authority ñoomi neen mënuñoo def li nga xamante ne moom mooy liggéey bi dinañ am lu anglais day wax li nga xamante ne moom mooy partners stakeholders si various sectors yi si yeneen anam yi nga xam ne moom la ñu liggéey bëgg nañoo xool Adam Wolof or Mandinka at your own convenience su ñëwee ci lëkkaloo ak yeneen i institutions yi ndax National Road Authority xam nañ ne banqaasi nguur la ndax tamit di ngeen ibbi seen bunta pour lëkkaloo ak ñeneen ñi nga xamante ne ñoom ñooy yëngu ci wàlla boobu noonu si wàlla bi nga xamante ne moom mooy tey ji su fekkee ne lu mel ni Front Star Driving School lu mel ni bunta yi nga xam ne ñoom ñooy non governmental organisations wala sax bunta yi nga xamante ne ñoom mel ni ñun muy li nga xam ne moom mooy private entities si media houses su fekkee ne am na mun ngeen ñu see jox tamit some samples.
Now, jërëjëf mun naa waxtaan si Wolof, although my Wolof is not as clear as Mandinka.
We can go in Mandinka. Yes.
Yeah. But question boobu am na solo trop. A National Road Authority, obviously, dañ dee jégaloo with partners in the media. But really, ñun dee gën a mun a entertain mooy the advocacy groups, safety advocacy groups. Because am na ay xale yu ndaw léegi yoo xam ne set up nañ yooyu noonu yu bari. Some they dramatize it, dañ ko dee def drama. Ñeneen moom dañ ci nekk rek because dañ ci am interest. And lu si gën a am solo mooy yooyu noonu that group mooy the target group boo xam ne they are the most affected, young people. Ñoo leen nekk either victims or themselves are being the people driving and causing these accidents. So we get a lot of involvement with them. We try to sponsor them where we can. They do a lot of programs in their def, and they bokk si guys yu encourage them to do noonu. While at the same time also we get in touch with the police. The last engagement bu ñu am nii mooy training session with the police. The police, fire service and the medical services. We train them and we work with them. You know, for example, Batil Haring, for example, bu ñu xam ne mooy yoon boo xam ne léegi am na ñetti lanes and foofu moo gën a am accident. So ñu ngi seen waxtaan ak police yi so naka la ñoo defee yoon bi mu gën a safe. So gis na ne police yi they are at the roundabout fu mu nekk nii they are on the road trying to help with make the road safe for everybody. While we get a lot of touch with those people. NEA itam we get in touch with ñu bari xamuñ leen waaye National Environment Agency. And lu si gën a am solo mooy di ne the road National Environment Agency ñoo amee mbiri licenses yi nii with the Geology Department for issuing this mining. di nga gis ne yoon bi léegi Batil Haring soo ko gisee bari na suuf trop. Suuf nag moom lu dangerous la si safety parce que dafa rata.
waaw
su nekkee si yoon soo breakee sax du jàppa.
Absolutely.
And then also it's abrasive daf dee génnee peinture peinture si yoon dafa important trop itam. So we engage a lot of people do benn section but I think fu ñëw gën a mën a am impact in this modern world léegi mooy social media. And we try to focus a lot on that also. To send the message across. As I said, more in English, our last outreach bu ñu def nii dañ dem to the garages. So where the drivers are, ñu dem fekk leen seen liggéeykaay. ñu dem si schools itam am na solo trop ñu waxtaan ak ñoom parce que ñooy xale yi. We have to get this curriculum in the schools su ko defee xale yi xam lan ay road safety. Because road safety itam stakeholders yi ñu dee fàtte most of the time more the people themselves ñu dee use yoon. Either you are a driver or you are a pedestrian on the road. pour ñun ñëpp la. So it's important ñoom itam ñu bokk si. And so we consult a wide range of stakeholders including everybody as I mentioned.
mu nekk lu am solo sambe min kela mbe mi yalon ko wolom Dr. Gazamale dundi la kacha kon ronga jibe nanata ni mi yalon ko wolom bayri mbetan ko le fokan last week nga mi yalon ko wolom munem alandarote munem mi yalon ko wolom human error hadama di ngola imma nasa man ko tollon wala kudolti bi ndafta minu jibe ta wolom nanata ni jama hadama di ngola baro wala ka ñing accidental cause ima amba kilela accidental lo bare muti bare nse mune keno puka je ko tumando bato nin nga hacilo tu woto tumando bato sem fantanka ka minul mi yalon ko wolom minul be silol use fan kananka wol tanka because nanata ni mi yalon ko wolom hadama dingola tanko comme Mr. Sanya ya fanami minul be silol use kan tumando bato fan dol bi jele mantara moto kono ibe tamola dol bi jele ibe silo le cross come from one point to another sometimes accident kake mo dol nyinul kono ike dabulaji andum ibuka ke mi yalon ko wolom fan ibe moto le kono wala fan way jita moto le kono dol be tamola dama so se mune keno pour kaje ko as drivers, as riders, tumando bato ningan singotala is one of it me mention what I'm speaking. But then say mune keno generally kam fantanka kadol tanka fanan.
Ambassador yin karo kumata bak. Nye kune wala kune okuliata bak. Nye kune onyi yele. Fen jamala beje. Iko mune ka nka mena accident. Bari niya jibe alan daronte. Tolu jama ka wala accident. Ala lay lañu to ñala ala mote fenken wala ala memmel bari ala fana hadaba di modala mune di ala hakilo. Ni moto bina ni mbori babina. Hadaba dun ka mune folo. Wala ne ka fa rational bi akemir he ni moto ni mbori ba. Badu ngay lode ni tambira ni kunduta. Asim takino no na taki asim fanol wala mbarama. Bar beyaw dum ya molo. Beyaw si bon nang wala ani mbori bay kuntu. Mune o sabu hakilo. Woto hadabadingo woto hadabadin kilon ala lamfo ala hakili ay bentu koma niabe afam muna fanal silola wala ka jama wala ka problem masi bonati folo nialo ile problem molon ibalo ne ba tankala nyami ile problem ni ata nun ko police le me yitandi la kisi siroto fen jamal katina muna itule me yitandi fen jamal katina accident ka kanyi ka men accident ni slanka folo men ke fam muna fan silola muna fan mo fen jamalam folo men ka moto borindi ni te ka moto borindi ite killing ika moto bunandi ka borindi kendek wala speed angalo ba fala speed wala ite killing ika ima ma maybe dololam wala drug ite be moto ite mo killing ibe moto borindi baake moto borindi ba ka ni moto borindi baake moto fon ite ka tata moto bulu itele katara moto bulu ni moto bondi banda lande tambi baga ite moto control nola so abete be marché bo men kala bokela oto ko akumata baake men ite driver fo ite ibe moto bondi kam bakale bam fo ye dololo min bang wala be siran bang wala drog le ma o kumata be mu risk factor la so ni atano wala keke woto luwal fana nyanta sotla anu alhamdulillah gambe luwal landile me alon ko ni nyinke luwa nyanta men kele anyanta kulula men ni luaya balan ne kaje ko e moto borindi be dolo min to e moto bori luwa man la fal walla sañi mobile phone fana ata hada badim kilimo jibe ite mobile phone abe bloko no e be diamula ite mo kilimo e dolo min ite kilimo e be borla ite kilimo moto fana risk o moto nyin fasingo be betare fana ite bo bori bal so risk kilimo o killing dama nkay même fo way risque jelle fudi moto tabeje at fond adaji ko abe nyami ngo fana dabeje ya nanda no silo fana mudu wala fana risk factor wala na alhamdulillah monsieur Sanyang Bejang wala marta nyingo silo la ko nyama silo fana dabeje la ni ata silo bambete ni ata silo fana man diam kadu silo kanyata diam la hada badi walene moto wala road sign silo wala na mka jibe menika silo dida wala yakata bak wala na ke ba klinya fa ko nyingo yalon kasama me ku fanga me moto dida way hakli ma yal tamani je bari men ka borinde wala ka mistake ko anu yi moto nyalta bi moto gibe ka diamu yene ni sita don yele me sit betlo ma don e nyante sit la men moto sukuma ka yitande la ko nya iman nyante len sit o be mu fener moto o ya munere wala hakli ma yal tamandi ka moto dida oto men ka moto borindi wala mu do ko ani men fanan ka tame si mo fanan men fanan ka tame si mo fanan ni be jele ngam wodol je mi yalon ko nte fombe moto kono me moto nyaato ngamo hayna mobile phone ol babul sungutu ni walam o ma kala muta fembe kedim fa driver ngte ko nyen itle be singoto la no de be en kola de nyimbite jele wada na ketuta lokta non na keddo laranka e murumura e munende sija wata o malo membe keri yo nyim fana mu fene de mi yalon ko kuma wala distracted driving
so on the whole human behavior on road safety has gone beyond the driver
abanta driver demand wala ne kane buloji o driver demand hani men ke famuna seredity fana be jel
absolutely
yalo seredity ite comme misale fe terto wato ite be muto sereto du mode kay silol do mi yalon ko comme lamputo jabe dibiri fente ko reflector te kom ibe suo bayinde la ibe follow bayinde ni mo na hakilu mo to be selle kan di bokon so ite nyanda mo nekela say ngana o tankoto ite nyanda mo na prevent sa ite nyanda mo nekela kay tank bay ni yalo ngo ile problem olon tumodo isa solve okay say mo ne mo bay ni ngay lo to say ngam luwaye landi o luwanyi menika tamandi ye luwa tamandi momo yalon ko ni moto borndi baga nga baye o be jel loi to ni lon moto bor landa tammi borndi silo e mendi la hako mendi la ko ingenda bor la jani nyen kilomita nangamule la monto wati wata ni tammi to wala loi e kulu
okay
ni ka mobile phone fana ibe bordi ka ni mobile phone ni e muta loi e kulu bari jani police le kam mula fo police e kulu ite te fon kulu la ba
it's important
ko be bol
absolutely
ni e fon kulu jani police o ngaji be police o te ku ate fem fole ate to ku kele fa bay dolle fon nyantan daji ko falina siloka
police o mondo ay busy do ko dula police ni tol yano e be nalale mi ya lon ko wolon tol be ganna nyato ta soto tol be sewo ay ke jamal na to tati sembe minul kala mbitani mi ya lon ko wolon France Star Driving School nga mi ya lon ko wolon few science jibe bayri mi ya lon ko wolo be control e be mako la ni wol science sola ngi interpret nga jibe fanan nka wol jenno jame Mr. Baji mun nga check it's either you do it in Mandinka or in Wolof generally you see some of the road signs before ñu delu ci wat to National Road Authority ñu xol tamit some of those areas what do they mean but also where can they command be fan lañ leen gën mëna gëna gis control room ñu jallalé li nga xamantene mom moy road signs yoy nonu rek Mr. Baji mu interpréter ñuko
waaw bala control room bi di ñëw dimbalé moy comme ñu dem ci science generally science yi soo leen xoolee comme ni nga ko waxee they are divided into three categories global mooy di command science moo nekk science yi nga xam ne da nga gis gars yi si circle form then ñu am triangle moom moo dee woon and then we have rectangle moom moo dee inform and if you look at the first one bu nekk si circle bi si 40 bi boobu is maximum speed of 40 and then the maximum speed of 40 bi soo ko xoolee mooy mu laa wax ne mun loo dawal moto beyond 40 bi so loolu la nekk di la waxal so soo xoolee si road bi su OIC bi am na maximum speed of 40 am na 50 maximum speed of 30 so depending on lu fa nekk moom lu nekk si cycle bi boobu ngay use su la waxee 30 nga xam ne 30 la because then they am reasons lu tax ñu la ko dee wax and most of the time this maximum speed da nga ko dee gis si balaa ngay am speed home si most of the time dañ def maximum speed of 30 most of the time so because most of the time sooy daw si highway bi dafa free so automatically soo ko gisee rek dafa dee wane wàññi speed booy daw fii warloo koy dee te most of the time soo ko gisee dafa dee am lu nga am mu fa
something is ahead
yeah something is ahead the next one mooy the stop sign stop sign bi nag ñun dañ ko dee wan ne is one of the most important signs
and this is where the major problem is doguma la barki démb si weekend bi c'est Sunday I know it's kind of free ñu ngi doon éeg si seen yoon yu ñu defar ni just fooy éegee si yoon bi yaa nga gis every Johnson def did their best ñu def ko foofu noonu ba kooku dafa ñëw ñu we are on the main road ñu ñëw ba tàngoor bi we are moving at a reasonable speed kooku dafa ñëw rek éeg and then stop bi mu ngi laa wan ne yow da nga war a stop because it is there clearly visible but this person just came and plowed the road straight.
No, council stop bi whether is there or not main highway so ñooy join warloo ñëw straight it's not possible main highway whether yaa ngi ko gis police yi ñu ngay track ak VDC ñu ngi koo def but soo ñëwee si driving school da nga war a xam ne soo jógee si feeder route di dem si main highway da nga war a taxaw force nga seet left ak right because let's say truck mu ngay ñëw ak doole te xam nga ne truck break am ngelaw la yow nga ñëw rek nga dem mais bi moto bu ndaw sax mun naa maneuver mun nga escape waaye let's say truck bi nga xam ne moom ngay ñëw ak doole even a speed of 70 mënut a taxaw suddenly mënut a def am sudden break léegi yow nga ñëw rek te lii dafa common soo gisee suñu problème bi yëpp si accident even si trafic sax stop sign bi dafa mata foofu noonu bi ko nit yi duñ dee bëgg a mayante waaye léegi ñun dañ dee war driver ne yow yaa war a nekk nga xam ne dafa wéer gisal driver yëpp ñi nga xam ne ñu ngay dewal comme den dof yow kese yaa war a wéer yow rek yaa war a aar loolu moo tax dañ dee advice suñu driver si Cross Johnson anytime yaa ngi ñëw si Cross Johnson wàññi sa speed
absolutely
because ñu ngi wax gars am na ki nga xam ne mistake ni mun naa ñëw understand nga dégg la is your right waaye tam soo amee accident xëy na yow tam doo si mucc
absolutely fatality is unpredictable
understand so the next sign moo nekk no entry te no entry bi soo ko xoolee moom dafa connect with with the road work ahead moo nekk si triangle bi and then mu ñëw connect with this diversion ñetta yi ñoo dee ànda no entry bi balaa nga koy gis soo ko gisee rek di nga gis ida ñu ne la liggéey moo fi nekk wala suñ la ko defee itam dafa laaju diversion bi nga xam ne fii mënuloo fi dugg de waaye jëlal bii and they are doing very well like suñuy liggéey da nga fay def no entry waaye danaa wanal ne liggéey moo fa nekk wala su dee nekkul liggéey moo fa nekk di nga gis this diversion because duñ la commande ñu ne la fii doo fi dugg ba pare ñu bàyyi la noonu so daf dee connect with this last one bu nekk fii si information sign bi di diversion bi te diversion bi dafa depend direction bu ñu la jox su la yow nga dem left da nga war a dem left su la waxee right da nga war a dem right so xool di next sign bi moo nekk no truck zone fii ñu laa woon ne truck warta dem fii den yoo nga yóbbu sa truck bi les seet am na bridge bu ndaw bu fa nekk waaye maybe bridge bi dafa weak it's a weak bridge so yow truck bi tooni truck bi mënu koo jël waaye because of yaa ngi ko gis yaa ngi ko ignore nga romba accident bi soo xam ne is you like ñu ngi ko am fii Cape Point
yes
Cape Point seen yoon bu ndaw boobu toon bu fa nekk ñoom seen boss dafa am toon bu fa nekk I don't know fàtte naa di number of toon because yi ngay dimbale gars yi this truck drivers yi ne truck nangam toon bii mënut a romba fii te and people are seeing that still now ñu ngi romba loolu moo tax dañ dee wane NRA dañ dee try definitely speak
Fukuloo comme li ñu wax it has sometimes to do with experts endorse it nothing happens because ñun dañ gëm on instant reaction.
Council, it's not about experts in those. They don't know. Trust me. They cannot interpret the signs. That is the problem.
That's something.
They cannot interpret the sign. And that's where the work of driving school come in. Now,
xam naa dinañ jël one more. Then we come back to national road because time tamit mu ngi ñoo xala xooj. We have about 10 minutes.
The next one is no right turn.
Okay.
No right turn. Before ko gis rek mu laa woon ne mun ngay dem de waaye right turn bi mun loo koy jël. te su dee left la tamit the same thing la.
Okay.
So for now mun nañoo bàyyi Mr. Sani mu ñëwaat basically.
ngalon na nyindo matala ni mi yalon ko wala maneka kan wala bayri ngajele ko akamunda ko sainteng silol mi yalon ko wolle do kota ale ko jamale kataje nanata ni mi yalon ko wolom indicators signs pour mol yalon to mando bato ntem mo ko toleti be driving na jamma fo wala manje faham but with all these road signs mbalon nako fende be nyaato nyanta mi yalon ko wala ñu speed limit le bari la nyanta mi yalon ko wolom speed bump ahead jana ñaato demanding dindingol ka cross ninjira all those things we are saying you guys are doing a very good job but generally nanata ni mi yalon ko wolom sila ko tolte nga wal jele man coverage soto santoto but tumando bato na soto to le aliye ko lonjere bayral kataji fu nanata jema fu wala fanan wolle bije and we will also see means of sustaining bayri ka fenke amankole ya bare ka sabatindi taraji pour tumandul bato sama sinin fanan kudo kanake nga foko alandarolom munebe kala national road authority la simfa nyaati jema fa wala
question wala kuma ya baki yaje wala tuna kabin dia mata aliya won ko safety collective responsibility hana badi ngol fango me ala kon ka keje ifana nyanto soje because même problem wadi ni road science yoldo believe it or not some of these people like road science yol bonile ikade wafi ferai no I'm telling you these are things many alon ko man sakuna nyanta wulla jele
absolutely
ni ferai stops yoldo ni ferai yoli sare lo to stop le e mantra exist kanje but the amount of damage these people are doing to this industry our infrastructure asiata le
that's serious that's
bon ngol ko neke bon le kale lo dala so the problem is asiata le so fonga nyo makoy these road signs manke ko ke yele ke for decoration
absolutely
ye reason so ko nyin miss finka afo nyamin gasama afo nyamin silo fanan kadi am moy drivers nyolena ale hada badingol ni o soto and driving school fanan ba kata kan ba ko wol soto je sai ni alo memu science wolde accident so fanan batala le bani de ka ke je dol ka bonni ka ke kala rolti dol ba bonde je in fact dol fango sometimes ka menke fango science me ko balori ka dale ye twist ye turn mano fala ka fanan jele bang sign me alo ko ni moto bori ka nyanta jele in front of him ya twist the other side muno bo jele nyaw wayete na fa munela so man sa kuna fanan bele do ko la ba hanama dingol fanan sa responsibility be fanan kanne to help so to nyale mun nanyin ku sita kuloru and even battle harding ndenga science men jeje and I'm going to find out about this some of them ngejele be jita iba duma I pray that in bantra okay kan but we want to repeat this on all the roads ya on sande na sila kulol wode wol be astole ibe ba sotla man pare follow ni pare te be road signs so sotla but silo me ko master fana we are trying pour que murundi je some of the roads me ko ye bondi je fana we are trying to put but nyim problem mo nga men soto bari hadama di ngol fana nga nyoma ko do ni moje abala a report police olia mfango kem fansum police oldi because man sakura ni mbeke la no but wala problem mo di fana
well, honestly, I think we all need to add up our voice to really condemn it in totality, but also to those that are buying. I cannot understand. These are things that are meant for you and I. If it cannot protect us, regardless of what monies you have, tomorrow the fatality might be more serious. Dr. Gazamangalon neko mi alonko along 5 minutes but we will take the final round wrong generally to do me along a piece of advice, but also a recap on what we have discussed on. So finally, mune wekela ila kumalama kotunana to this episode on road safety matters, because every program we will want to give a piece of advice, and you as the road safety expert, we will really want to be drawing those words of inspiration from you when it comes to what can we do to protect ourselves, make sure that we will be safe from now on to the next episode.
Ni momo be silo kuntla men nyande tarale haklo safety force, my safety force. Ni o muta banta ibe itama silo kuntul itel be silo mamwa ke famu na fan silo la safety force ibe moto itebe silo kuntula pedestrian la mubang iha ibuloni bulbani maraji be dukare kana moto nga hakil tuato moto le hadabadu dabada sembo wata hadabadu iteme fanan ka moto borindi i hakila do mang ika hawji dol ka mbita mbeta bade bayndola ite fonkata furedo do ibite bo bade o bande bo bade o sotlan oto safety force ya nga kokmo ka nyo yamare don wala mu ka nyo kono dia mbele ni be yin kointo mbe amutam bultani flola nga bala mansa kom noma ni nga man tul fon kam fanne tanka tul ko man sa ma ko inen tul ko fon kam fan tanka so tanka roben tul fon la vlo bul nsi wala fon badi wala men kan jibe
Mr. Baji, a piece of advice, but also probably a point of reflection towards young drivers. Of recent, you've graduated, that is Frontstar Driving School. You've graduated some drivers. Probably they are following. What would be your piece of advice for them to make sure they drive safe, but also protect the life? Because during our days in the National Youth Parliament, we keep saying that the life you save may be yours. So indeed, the life you save may be yours. What would be your advice for the young drivers?
Of course, Kaus, thank you very much. I think after our graduation, we do have one session with the students that is always a general advice before we start certifying them or launching them. And then what we always tell them is that see yourself as the only driver that has sense. The rest of the drivers, they are all mad, including Kausubai. You see, the moment you term yourself to be the only correct driver, you won't have a problem with the other driver, whether the other driver is wrong or right, because you are seeing the driver as a mad person. Because we don't want them to be trying to challenge the drivers.
Absolutely.
You understand? That, this is my right. That and that. So we always advise them to stick on what we taught them, definitely. And then, like he said, if you remove these signs from the road, it's like you are causing a suicide.
Absolutely.
Honestly, because you yourself, you might be in a vehicle, in a car, which will have an accident because of you have removed that sign. Mm-hmm. Because, like he said, we only communicate to the road through the signs. Now, if you are not communicating with the signs, or the signs are there, you cannot interpret them, it's like a blind man walking without a stick. It's like you are driving blindly.
Absolutely.
So, like I told him, like the old roads from Bara going to Farafenye, they have finished these signs. You hardly see these signs.
It's really unfortunate.
Honestly speaking, you hardly see these signs. Like Mr. Gassama is talking of speed. Mm-hmm. If you look at this YC road, it's a big road, but then the speed limit is 70. Absolutely. And it is clearly stated there. Yeah. So at least they are trying people to at least to control their speed. But how many people are driving below 70?
Yes, absolutely.
How many people? So the problem is we don't know, Kausu. So that's why we need to work with them to make sure we engage the people to go to the driving school. And that is the only solution, Kausu. Because when you don't know, what can you do?
When you don't know, what can you do? MD Sanyang, finally, what will be your point of advice generally to the people, but also to stakeholders and other partners?
Yeah, I think the thing is, for me, in summary, is that infrastructure is good. And the road infrastructure in this country is improving at a phenomenal rate. But it saddens me that we build roads and people are getting killed on it just because of the way they use it. You see, as Mr. Gassama was saying, design faults in terms of accidents is very little. It's very, very little in terms of percentage. But it's just human error and people. And this is why, if you follow the history of what's happening now in the industry, they are looking at the driverless cars. I think you hear about them, where you don't have it. Because they want to remove the human elements in the error that causes accidents. That's the whole thinking behind it. So my advice is government is doing a lot to provide infrastructure. This battle hardening is quick, you get on it, you get anywhere in good time. But let's use it safely. The road signs are there. The road speed limit, people don't realize, is based on a design. Huh? You design the road at a particular speed, and then you set up the speed limit that is less than the design speed. But if you start driving more than that, you design even above the design speed. So you will get an accident. It's normal. But my advice is, let's use the road safely. And the driving schools, thank you very much. It's an excellent job you are doing. In fact, I remember in those days, they used to have when you have a license.
Yeah, the booklet.
They used to have the road signs also in there. I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah, because we're going biometric. The old license were books, so where you have it in the booklet.
And they should really go and have a theory test to know all of that before they actually do the practical. Are you doing that also here?
We are doing both practical and then theory.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our guidebook already in the school which we are using. That's why for the testing, you start with the theory. When you fail the theory, there is no practical for you.
Yeah, but that is when you go to driving school. What about the others who are getting license without going to driving school?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know anything about the science.
Yes, that is the problem.
So it's a big problem, but it's a collective effort. We all need to get into it. But these are the forums, I think, and then also the social media platforms, and then the young people getting involved. I think that would be my advice.
This is what time permit us for this episode. That is the second episode of the Traffic Talk. With me, Kausu Badji. Special thanks to the technical team for the production, as well as the program and content director for their coordination. Until we see you away next week, thank you very much. Bye-bye.